1936 was a great year to be alive because the first car appeared with pop-up headlamps, quite possibly the best thing to happen to headlights since someone thought to use a light bulb instead of a gas light. They appeared simultaneously on two cars, the Italian Alfa Romeo 8C and the American Cord 810. You had to manually wind them up and down using a handle on the dashboard. At the time, they were a handy way of streamlining the front of the car, producing an aerodynamic shape that mimicked racing cars of the day, although the streamlining advantage was negligible. Just 2 years later, GM figured that winding headlamps up and down while driving a 1930s car at dusk probably wasn't the best thing to be doing, so added electric power, shown in the Buick Y-Job concept car. But the first production car to use electric pop-up headlamps was the 1942 Desoto. Hidden headlights' popularity waxed and waned throughout the 1940s and 50s, but regained popularity in the mid to late 1960s. They appeared in Europe and particularly in the US, where aerodynamic headlamps were not permitted. In the US, the rule stated headlamps needed to be either round or rectangular, so they weren't simply used for streamlining cars but also for hiding them to improve the front car design. Buick started the trend in 1965 with the stealth lights on the Riviera. The headlamps rotated into position. One of the early issues with this design was that as it rotated, it could momentarily blind oncoming traffic. The hidden headlamp design was also popular on 1970s Lincolns, and it was still being used on the 1986 Buick Skyhawk. The US also had rules around the positioning of headlamps, which meant manufacturers who wanted to mount lights low down had to find creative ways to get around the rules, and pop-up headlamps were one way of doing it. For example, Toyota exported the pop-up headlamp version of the AE86 to North America, rather than using lower fixed headlights like they did in Europe. Raising the body height was costly and would have affected the handling. The Alfa Romeo Montreal's headlights didn't pop up, but rather stayed fixed while their eyelashes hid themselves away. It was an odd choice, but definitely cool. The Porsche 928, in my opinion the most beautiful Porsche ever made, maybe thanks to seeing its rear so often playing Chase HQ, had an interesting take on pop-up headlights. They were always visible, but raised to make the car look frog-like when illuminated. At least the car only looked silly when it was dark. It would be hard to imagine the Ferrari Testarossa without pop-up headlights, another car from 1980s video games and indeed TV shows. With all 1980s supercars seeming to favour pop-up headlights, likely to get around US headlamp laws, this is maybe why I find them so cool. Another car that's definitely improved with pop-up headlights is the BMW 840, that seems to give oncoming cars a cool steely stare. Of course, you didn't have to spend a fortune to get your pop-up headlamp fix. The Triumph TR7 and Mazda MX-5 both sported bug-eyed looks, and it was a sad day in 1998 when the second generation MX-5 went for fixed headlamps. Probably the last mark you think about when thinking of little sporty cars is Volvo, but the 480 was pretty sleek, at least for a Volvo, and it had such a low bonnet that it had headlamps that rose out of it. US regulations are now more relaxed over headlamp size, allowing for more aerodynamic shapes. But car manufacturers, always looking to save a penny anywhere they can on car production costs, saw that pop-up headlights were more expensive and indeed heavier than fixed headlights. Internationalised ECE auto safety regulations have also recently incorporated pedestrian protection provisions preventing protuberances from car bodies, try and say that 3 times fast, making it more difficult and expensive to design compliant pop-up headlamps. Whether the mechanism was powered by an electrical or a vacuum system, one of the inevitable downsides was of course one of the headlights will appear with the other stubbornly refusing, leading to your car winking to oncoming traffic who think you're driving a motorbike. And of course, if both lights refuse to rise up, you're going to have a very dangerous drive home. Because this was a potential safety hazard, it was another reason governments around the world were so keen to ban them. Ford tried to fix this issue on their hidden headlight system by using springs on the covers, so if the vacuum system failed, the lights would still open. However, it meant that if the car hadn't been driven for a few days, like if it was on a dealer's forecourt, the cars would sit around with half-opened headlights. Not really very good for prospective sales. For all these reasons, pop-up headlamps have disappeared from today's cars. The last time they appeared on a volume production car was in 2004 when both the Lotus Esprit and the Corvette ended production. Development in smaller headlamps, particularly those using LEDs, all but eliminate the need for concealed headlamps altogether. But pop-up headlights, at least in my mind, continue to be one of the coolest features on a car. It was a rare sight to be driving down the road and spot them popping up, but when you did see it, it was like seeing a solar eclipse or a double rainbow. Ah, for the simple pleasures of life. So what's your favourite car with hidden headlights? Let me know in the comments below. A big thank you to all my patrons for supporting me. To get early advert-free access to new videos or to appear in the credits, please consider supporting me using the Patreon link below from just $1 or 80p a month, and hit that subscribe button to get notified of new videos. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.